For the first lunch, I'm making a pizza quesadilla. The first thing that we need to do is spray a little bit of cooking spray into our pan. Next, we're going to add a tortilla, and we're using a whole wheat tortilla here. My little girl just put it right there in the middle, okay? And the next thing that we're going to do is add some mozzarella cheese. Once you get a nice layer of mozzarella spread around, it's time to add some pepperonis. And we're only going to do half of it, and then we're going to let the cheese melt, and go ahead and fold your quesadilla in half. And now all you have to do is crisp up both sides. Once you have one side done, give it a little flip. And then of course I have to flip it again because 7-year-olds are impressed that you can flip stuff like that. Once we get our quesadilla out of the pan, I'm going to turn up the heat to high and add some zucchini sticks along with a little bit of salt and a little bit of fresh ground black pepper. I'm cooking these on high because I just want to get a little bit of color on the outside and I don't want them to get watery, so high heat is important here. Once I get my beautiful caramelization on the outside of these, they are done. So now I'm going to add some marinara sauce into my bento box. You can use homemade and just freeze it in these little containers, or if you get store-bought, you can also freeze what's left over in the jar into those little containers. It is so much more convenient, and then you always have the marinara sauce on hand. The next thing that I'm doing is cutting my delicious little quesadilla. See the cheese and pepperoni in there? And now we're going to put it into the bento box. And all I need now is my little zucchini sticks. Now I'm going to close up this box, and what's really important is that you get the edges or else this will leak. So you have to push down all around the sauce. See, like on the inside parts, if you push it down and you close properly, this won't leak, but if you don't do it, it will be a mess, I guarantee it. So these happen to be the perfect size for my daughter's lunchbox, which is awesome. So it just goes right into the box and zip it up. And of course there's a little spot for her drink over there. There's our little pizza quesadilla ready to go. Next, I'm making a meatball slider. So I'm starting off here with this Earth's Best brand frozen little meatballs, and of course you can use any brand that you want, but my kids really love these. So I'm putting enough in here for 2 sliders because both of my little girls are having these for lunch today. And meanwhile, I'm heating the thermos. So I have really hot water in the thermos, and I'm going to leave that in there for about 5 minutes. Okay, so the thermos goes over to the side, and I'm going to cook these little meatballs. I have these on medium right now because I want to make sure that they thaw all the way through, and then I'm going to turn the heat up just to get some browning on the outside of the meat. It gives it a little bit more flavor, and I want to make sure that they're very hot when they go into the thermos. So now I have my sauce, and as you can see, this sauce is frozen, and that's what I was telling you before, that you can just put whatever's left of your sauce into the freezer. It makes it so much easier. So I'm just adding this whole kind of piece of frozen sauce into the pan, and I'm only going to melt what I need. It's not going to take this whole piece, and I'm just stirring it around. You can make it like really saucy if your kids love really saucy, or just a little saucy, and then just put it right back in the container and right back into the freezer, and again, nice and convenient for next time. So here are my little meatballs, and some of these are going into my thermos, which again I have heated on the inside, and the other ones are actually going straight into the bento box because one of my girls likes them hot and one of my girls does not care. But this is what it's going to look like if I put it into here. And I am going to leave a little bit of information about food safety down below in the information box, so please make sure that you check that out. In this meal, I'm also including carrot sticks, mozzarella cheese, a frozen drink pouch, of course, and a little Hawaiian roll to go ahead and make her slider with when she gets to school. So there it was, all finished. And now we're on to our tuna salad. This one is fairly straightforward, but it is one of my kids' favorites, so I thought that I would put it in there. So Tia, my daughter, is adding some tuna salad over there on one side, and we just make a very simple tuna salad with mayonnaise and pickle relish, but of course you can make it however your kids like, obviously. And I am over here, I'm putting Ritz crackers, some cheddar cheese slices, and an apple, and I've just been informed that she wants her egg sliced up, so now I'm going to slice the egg that is going along with this, and there it goes into the box, and this is ready to go. This is a nice little meal and quick to put together. The next one is the bacon, lettuce, and tomato wrap. For this one, I'm making a spread with 3 ounces of cream cheese and like 2 or 3 tablespoons of mayonnaise, along with some oven-dried tomatoes. You can use sun-dried tomatoes from the store or make your own oven-dried tomatoes. If you don't know how to make them, I'm actually going to put up a video next week so you can learn how to make them. And this is my spread. I'm just going to check it and see if there are any big pieces left, and if so, I'm going to pulse it a little bit more in my food processor. By the way, make sure you tune in to next week's video, which is on the oven-dried tomatoes, because I will be doing a giveaway of these bento boxes that I'm using in here. So that giveaway will be on August 29th of 2017. So if you're watching that after this, it's over, and if you're watching it before it, make sure you tune in at 10 in the morning. As you can see here, I am spreading the little spread that we just made onto a whole wheat tortilla, and I just kind of like cooked my tortilla a little bit because I don't like that raw flavor, and I have plenty to do another wrap. The next thing that I'm putting on is some little pieces of bacon, and I'm just using a little bit of leftover bacon from breakfast chopped up, and it's nice and crispy and delicious. The next thing that I'm putting on is some chopped romaine, along with some tomatoes. This is also really good if you add avocado into it, if your children happen to like avocado, or if you're making this for yourself, because it is really delicious. So the next thing that I'm going to do is simply fold it over. I'm going to leave one end open, which is fine. And there it is, all yummy and delicious. And I put this seam side down into the bento box. That way it doesn't come open and make a big mess. I also put a boiled egg in here and a Baby Bell cheese, and that makes a really nice lunch for the kids. And there it is, all ready to go. The next lunch that I'm making is macaroni and cheese. So again, I have a little bit of leftover bacon, and I'm just going to kind of fold this up to make it quicker to chop, and then I'm going to chop it into fairly small pieces for this one. Maybe one more time across the sides over here. I want it just smaller than bite size. So here I have some macaroni and cheese, and this just came off of the stove. You can use a boxed macaroni and cheese, or if you have time to make it homemade in the morning, then you must get up way earlier than me, because I don't, and that is awesome for you. But in this case, I did use a boxed macaroni and cheese, and now I'm just stirring in my bacon. The bacon is going to get warm just from the heat of the macaroni and cheese being on the stove. Of course, you can put this into a thermos if you want to, but I'm putting it directly into the bento box this morning. And I'm also adding some nice fresh sliced pears and some nuts. So again, this is just a really nice combination of flavors and a nice healthy meal for the kids. The next thing that I'm making is a barbecue chicken slider. This one is really easy, and it's one of my kids' favorites. So I'm starting off with a can of chicken, and I'm just going to use a fork to mash the meat up into like smaller flakes. Once I get it nice and mashed up, I'm adding in about 3 ounces of cream cheese, and the first little piece there was 2 ounces measured, and the rest of it I just don't want to end up going to waste in my refrigerator, so I went ahead and put it in, but it's about 3 ounces total. And I'm just going to mash this around until it gets blended in with the chicken really well, and it's going to get creamy. Now I have this on like a medium-low heat because I don't want my chicken to dry out, but I do want my cream cheese to melt. So it takes like 2 minutes to get it nice and melty. The next thing that I'm doing is adding in some barbecue sauce, and of course you can use homemade. I'm big on homemade barbecue sauce, and I will leave a link to my recipe, but store-bought is also perfectly fine. And just go ahead and mix that in. What is important is once you get this all mixed in, make sure that you give it a nice little taste test just to see if it needs more barbecue flavor or if you manage to get it in just perfect on the first try. Okay, so for me, I am going to add just a touch more barbecue and go ahead and stir that in there. So here I have my barbecue chicken, some fresh sliced pineapple, a Hawaiian roll, and some cheddar cheese slices. And these are all, once again, some great flavors together, and it makes a really nice little lunch. So that was all for you. I hope you really enjoyed this video, and happy cooking, everyone.